may be struggling, I make my way through. All trials, they come to make me strong.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, or should I say good evening, good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are. Welcome. I hope you're good. I hope you enjoyed that track, Still I Rise. It's a song of the album, the Urban Voice compilation CD that I released on my labels back all the way back in 2003. Can you believe it? And yet it still sounds good to me. What did you think of it? Did you like it? And every time I listen to that song, I'm just inspired. You know, it's a gospel classic, but the words say it all. Still I rise. Still I rise, talking about ascension. You see, the times that we're living in right now, ladies and gentlemen, it is about your ability to rise above your challenges, rise above your problems, rise above the seemingly impossible and ascend towards your true higher version of yourself. Welcome to this evening. Boy, have I got a great evening for you. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Tony Biola Dada. I welcome you to this evening's Friday Mind Reset Live. Before I go into that, though, I want to ask those of you who were here last week, did you get a chance to watch The Matrix and then realign that with some of the things that I was sharing in last week's show? If you didn't, then you certainly should do. Today, I have another treat for you by way of Michael Beckwith. And I'm really feeling good this month, I must say. You know, I see who do we have in the house? Wilma, good evening. How you doing? Yes, still I rise. And you, Wilma, are certainly rising. And you know what? I just have to say big up to my soul family. Welcome to our guests who may be tuning in via Facebook or YouTube. But you know what? I really have to big up my soul family because you are the reason why I'm here. You are the reason with people like Wilma and some of the other people who've done the GPS program. It's through working with you, even though I may be working in the capacity of supporting you as a coach, it has just been an amazing journey of insights and revelations. And so I'm literally celebrating my birthday for 2 months. Like, you'd be like, what are you talking about, Tony? Well, for those of you who know, it's exactly 10 years ago. So this is my anniversary to the month when I made my yes. So for those of you, I mentioned I've got the book with me this time. I met this lady in Ghana in 2010, July, and she gave me, well, actually, she gave me this book and spoke about my deepest intent. Actually, I got my dates wrong. No, I was just like, that don't make sense. She gave me this book in 2011. Yeah. No, it was 2010. What am I talking about? She gave me this book in 2010 in August, but she gave it to me and she talked about the work that I was going to be doing. And I didn't understand what she was talking about. And so fast forward to 2011, July 2011, that was when life just made it so clear to me that I needed to walk this path. Where this path was going to take me, I had no clue. I had no idea, but I had got to a point in my life where I was like, I'm done with all of this other stuff. I'm saying yes to life, and wherever that takes me, let's go. And so this is why I'm celebrating this month, because boy, what a journey it's been. And it's just amazing. Today, we have a soul family. We have a community of conscious individuals. And I love this. And we're just getting started. For those of you who understand and know about numerology, you know that the number 10 is so important. It speaks of new beginnings. It speaks of ordinations. It speaks of so many things. And so I'm really excited about this time and all of you who I am really blessed to be working with. For those of you who are new to our space, well, welcome. And I hope that you get with the program, because since January 2013, I have been publicly declaring and stating that we need to wake up. All of us who are on this journey of self-actualization and self-realization, it's about not just waking up, but waking up and moving, taking action. And of course, some people thought I was crazy. But you know what I've come to realize, ladies and gentlemen, that when the Most High gives you a vision, it is for you and you alone. And if it was for somebody else, he would have shared it with them, but it's for you. And so, of course, sometimes you're going to seem a little bit crazy, but it's okay. I'm here to let you know it's okay, because that's only the way that you know that your dream is really from the Most High. Your vision is really from the Most High. You speak to people who have done big things. They usually seem crazy to begin with, and then the world catches up, kind of like Bitcoin. Bitcoin's been running, and I keep talking about that because I won't go into it today, but I definitely believe there is a spiritual dimension behind even Bitcoin, but that's for another day. My point being, 10, 11 years ago, people were ignoring Bitcoin. And over the years, people have been umming and ahhing, negating it, trying to quash it. I read an article the other day that said if you had £100 in Bitcoin back in 2010 or 11 when it first started, that £100 would be worth 55 million pounds today. Check that. So what am I saying? Be a visionary, hold on to your vision and manifest your vision and let the world catch up with you. And that's what I'm feeling like today. 2013, many were saying, this guy's crazy. I deliberately did not carry any business cards for 5 years because I didn't want people to feel like I was selling to them. I wanted to manifest through the law of attraction. And here we are today. And so it's great to have you here. And I just want to say a big up and a thank you once again for all of you who are part of this rich society, this rich community. I truly believe that in months and years to come, as we grow our community, people are going to get with the program and see that this is what it's about. It's about activating your faith, not having faith. The whole debate about religion and spirituality is almost over because you're going to see that in this new era of spirituality, it isn't about religion. It's about your vibrational frequency. The scientist, inventor, call him what you will, Tesla, said, if you want to understand the secrets of the universe, think in terms of vibration, energy, and frequency. So what's my point? It doesn't matter how religious you feel you are or think you are in this new era. If you are not vibrating at the frequency of love, unity, peace, and collective vision, you can't ascend. You can't be singing Still I Rise because you won't be rising. You'll just be stuck, and you'll know you're stuck because it will feel not good. And I don't wish that on you. And this is why, if you're not sure, but you kind of want to explore, then join us. Join our Facebook group. Will allow you to join and find out and get a flavor of what we're doing. It's a closed group, but if you're really serious and intentional, then answer a few questions that we'll have for you, and we'll let you join the group and experience what some in our community are experiencing, which seemingly would appear to be impossible, but they're experiencing it. So come join us. So today we are going to be continuing our theme on spirituality. So as I said, last week we spoke about the matrix. Today we have my good friend, Michael Beckwith, who some of you may know from The Secret, the Law of Attraction. And what I'm going to be sharing with you, originally I planned to just share a really short clip where he was talking about Business 3.0, the new era of business in this new era of spirituality. But through my meditation this morning, and those of you who know that I like to take my quiet time on a Friday morning, it came to me that I'm going to bless you all with a little bit more of that interview. For those of you who are members, if you like this, then I would encourage you to go watch that video in its entirety. It's over an hour long, and I was looking at it today. And you know what's amazing? When you watch this, keep in mind that this was recorded, I think it was the tail end of 2016 or January 2017. So this was before Donald Trump. And just hear what he's saying and just look at the world today in relation to what he was in effect predicting. You see, those of us who have a conscious awareness you're almost able to move through time. And, again, some are going to see what we're saying as a little crazy, and some will see what we're doing as a little crazy. But when you know what you know, and you know that you know, it doesn't matter. It's okay. We can do fine by ourselves, being led, being directed, just like for some of you in my community who were attending our workshop in February, the 1st of February, 2020, and the 29th of February, 2020, where we were preparing ourselves mentally for the onslaught of COVID. Now, many people say, well, how do you do that? That's not the point. It's about tuning in. And for those people who made themselves available and came on that Mind Reset workshop, they will tell you their lives have literally transformed. Rather than feeling depressed and downtrodden and fearful, they have literally seen their lives take up and ascend to new heights. Don't believe me? Join the Facebook group and speak to some of these people yourselves. So I'm really excited today to share with you, and I guess we'll just get straight in. But what's the theme? The theme is really about you. If you are at that point and stage in your life where you're looking for your purpose, you know that you're here to do something, but you haven't quite found it. I read a quote earlier this week that said, well, what the hell are you here on earth for? Like, what the hell are you here on earth for? Do you know? Well, you ought to know. And if you don't know, then this is the season where you ought to find out. And ideally, this is the season where not only do you know your purpose, but you're actualizing your purpose, and you're expanding that through working tirelessly because you're full of energy and doing it as an entrepreneur. For those of you who know, I've been blessed with two great men in my life. One, a spiritual mentor, and one, a business mentor. And I quickly came to the awareness when they both came into my life, or when the business mentor, Errol, came into my life, I knew that this was by no accident. It's not every day you meet a billionaire who wants to be your friend and coach you. It doesn't happen every day. But I knew that it was life's way of bringing these two great minds, men who had invested in their area of expertise and speciality for over 50 years each. And I was blessed to be able to tap from both of these knowledge systems, spirituality, business, making money, and expanding a self-sustaining model. And my task was to find a way to weave these two into my mission and my purpose. And I am excited because I got it now. It's about bringing this new awareness of spirituality, but doing it in such a way that it's a self-sustaining model. So we don't have to, as I was doing when I was running my not-for-profit organization, running up to different organizations and institutions, asking for funding, which I appreciate, or going to government for funding, which I appreciate. But that all too often comes with strings and conditions. And sometimes they're not in alignment with who you are. Well, when you have a good business model structure, you don't have to worry about any of that. So this is what today is really about: how to do business in this new era of spirituality that enables you to do what you love, do what honors you, and do that which brings a blessing to not only your life, but all those around you, solving some of the human problems that we have today. And boy, we know that we certainly do have many problems that need to be resolved. So with that said, are we ready? If you put a yes in the chat group, I'll begin to share my screen, and you can sit back for about 15 minutes or so, 20 minutes, and just listen to the interview. So just to let you know, I had just come back from Africa, so I was very much in my Africa zone. You know, I've come to realize that my whole life purpose is really acting as the bridge, meaning bringing African spirituality and insights, the knowledge system of creation of man, to the West. As someone born in the West, raised in the West, understanding this system, knowing that the thing that will save us and enable us to ascend is for us to connect back to the motherland. And so if being the bridge is what I need to be, then I'll do that happily. Okay. All right, sit back and let me share my screen and let's take it away. So bear with me a moment. Okay, I just gotta find where we are. Okay. So tell me if you can see the screen. So bear with me, ladies and gentlemen, we have just a bit of a technical problem here. Okay, I'm gonna share this and tell me if you can see it. Okay, can you see that? Okay, all right, it's not working. So stay with me. We'll get it to work. I may have to call in my technical support. Okay, so I'm actually having a problem here. Okay, I think we're good now. So okay. So I'm going to share this. Tell me if you can see this on screen.
Success 3.0, the new way of doing business. Can you?
Okay, so I'm just going to pause a moment. Were you able to see that? Okay, but that's not the video that I want for you. You see what I go through just to bring all of this good stuff to you all. Okay. Okay, I'm actually not able to find the video, but I'm going to persevere So give me a moment.
We're live. Hi, good evening, Tony.
Okay,
I
found the video. So here we go. Okay, I think we're good. Okay, hopefully you can see this.
And being in the company of people like yourself,
in the chat,
that has really inspired me and shown me that.
Can you see the video recording? Okay, I think that's a yes. Okay, all right. So here we go.
We definitely need this kind of a transformation, this kind of rejuvenation here in the UK, because there were so many people calling out for a new way of being, and really getting in touch with themselves. And I think that the work that you're doing, the work that Brother Ishmael's doing, and we'll talk about him in a moment, it is just great, and it's just great seeing you do such great work. So welcome. Thank you so much for taking the time out.
My joy.
So I wanted to really start off because we've had a number of questions come in to us in preparation for this exciting moment, because people have been really wanting to get some insight from the man himself. We've heard a lot about you, and of course you played a major part in The Secret.
Yes.
I kind of really want to start right from the beginning though, because you, prior to The Secret, have been doing this work for quite some time. How long have you been doing this work?
I've been publicly teaching about 40 years, and I founded Agape a little over 30 years ago. So I've been teaching these spiritual principles, teaching meditation, teaching life visioning, teaching success for over 40 years now. It's hard for me even to say that, because my body's not even 40 years old.
Wow, that is such a long time. So now I'm really curious, because when I think back to where the planet was in terms of spiritual maturity 40 years ago, you must have had some challenges. Because I'm saying this because, you know, I've had the privilege of being with my mentor for 35 years, and I've seen some of the challenges he's gone through. So what was it like for you when you first started?
Well, when you think about it, over 40 years ago, the teachings that are now prevalent by means of the movie The Secret and other movies like that, in a billion-dollar book industry, they were not seen as valid. They were seen as kind of a woo-woo kind of teaching. And so there was a discounting of us by your traditional religions, and then a discounting of us by individuals who were in the academic or in the business field. And so I would say that we were on the skinny branches of a strong tree that was emerging. Wow. And so now, and then when I started Agape, there were certain spiritual churches that wouldn't even work with us on special projects because we were too outside of the box, so to speak. Now you fast forward 40, 30 years later, we're validated. These teachings are now being promulgated by evolutionary biologists and scientists and quantum physicists and business moguls. And so now I've been here long enough to see that what I was teaching years ago is now becoming almost commonplace.
Wow.
In the language, you know, in the understanding of thought and the power of thought, the power of intention, the power of visualization, the power of visioning, power of meditation. Science has caught up with the teaching. So now I've seen a tremendous change. I've lived long enough and been out here long enough against these headwinds to see a magnificent change.
Wow. But that requires such a degree of faith, tenacity, and commitment to your own vision, does it not?
Oh, absolutely. Fortunately, I did not look outside to other people for validation. My validation was internal. It was direct from the presence, direct from the source. So when I had my initial spiritual awakening in the 70s, it was very authentic, very real, and I was able to build upon that. And so my interior awareness was way stronger than the flack that may have been coming at me from outside of myself. So faith, conviction, endurance, courage, stick-to-itiveness, all of those qualities came into play. Absolutely.
Wow. And I know, but just for our audience, that spiritual awakening, how old were you when that took place? And can you share a little bit about what that experience was?
That initial, the spiritual awakening that I had as an adult, I've had a lot of experiences as a child, but the one that really opened me up, I was in my early 20s, and I was attending USC at the time, and I was a psychobiology major. I thought my destiny path was to go into med school at the time, and that's the track I was on. And I began to have a number of inner experiences that I could not explain because I wasn't consciously on the path at the time. And so I really thought that perhaps there was some psychological pathology that I was going through. I was seeing visions, I was hearing voices, I was astral traveling a lot and going places and visiting people, but I didn't know what any of that was. Anyway, just to make the long story short, just, that particular experience lasted for longer than a year. It was a long period of time, but it culminated with, in a lucid dream, 3 men came to me, and 2 of them held me down, and one of them stabbed me in my heart with a serrated knife. And the pain, physically and emotionally, was excruciating. I screamed out, and I died. And when I woke up from that, the pain was still in my heart physically, but I could see differently. I could see that we were surrounded by this presence of love and of beauty and intelligence that it quite shifted my perception. The love was at such a magnitude that I to this moment, can't really explain it. I was just so loved by the Creator, as everyone is. And the beauty that's everywhere when you have eyes to see is so magnificent, animate and inanimate objects glowing with this presence and the intelligence and the order. And so I saw all of this. And then that set me on the path to discover what had happened to me. I didn't know what had happened.
Wow.
As I began to research and meditate and pray and research, I discovered the underlying spiritual and mystical truths that all of the great teachers taught. They may teach them differently based on their culture and the time they lived historically, but underneath, the universal principles and the universal teachings are the same. Whether you study Gautama the Buddha or Jesus the Christ or Zoroaster, you're gonna bump into the same teachings that now our quantum physicists are bringing to bear as well. So it was a tremendous opening and took a number of years to integrate. And I had more and more openings that took place for a number of years, but that was the initial one.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is incredible. And so that dream set you off on a new path.
Totally. When I woke up the next day, I was not the same person that went to bed the night before. My priorities shifted. What was important to me shifted. I lost all of my friendships. People thought that I had just freaked out. They didn't know this person that was emerging. The presence of love, the presence of God, the presence of divine intelligence was so real to me. I didn't need to read about it in books. It was just, I was having a real authentic encounter that the books validated when I began to study the scriptures of all the different religions,
Right.
and study the writings of of high-minded beings. They validated the experience I was going through. And so I didn't feel alone, even though most of the people that I was associating with were physically dead. You know, they
Yeah.
were, their message lived through their books that basically validated what I was moving through.
Incredible. And so with that, you began to walk this new path, and clearly along the way, although you may have lost many friends and many of your circle at that time, you began to form a new community, it would seem.
Absolutely. I remember working for a city councilman, and I was alone. People thought I was kind of weird. You know, I had a kind of an out-of-box way of handling things because I was being guided by the Spirit. I wasn't disliked. People just thought I was a little bit odd, you know,
Right.
because I was so deeply involved into what I was deeply involved in.
Right.
But I always remember sitting at lunch, and I looked up at the banister, and there was this big ball of light with all these different colors in it. And I thought it was the most beautiful ball of light I've ever seen. And then when I focused my attention, I saw that it was a person, and I was looking at their aura. And then that person, she was studying the works of Paramahansa Yogananda. And that person became a friend of mine. And it was one of the signs that the Spirit was bringing into my life, people that understood me. And then little by little, other people came into my orbit until ultimately my orbit grew with people understanding who I was and my mission and why I was here. And so, as you indicated, new friends began to come into my life, but they were built upon an understanding of this tremendous presence of love and beauty and intelligence that most people call God. At the time, for many years, I never used that word God. The word that I used was love, beauty, because that's how my encounter was.
Right.
Love and beauty.
Right.
So it was a number of years later that I was able to embrace the word God again, but it was not from the traditional religious point of view of a man in the sky checking your name to see if you've been naughty or nice, sending you to an eternal damnation. That's a misuse of imagination of humanity that made up such a God. So when I use the word God, it has nothing to do with that old paradigm. It has something to do with a presence of life and of love and beauty, intelligence that's everywhere, you see.
Wow. So effectively, you were experiencing what some have called the law of attraction, i.e. because of who you had become, you were
Yes.
literally attracting.
Yes. The way I teach it, as you indicate, I've been teaching this. The secret is having its 10th anniversary right now. So that means that was 2007. So I started Agape in 1986. So as you've indicated, I've been teaching these principles for years before I was even in the movie, The Secret. And one of the ways that I've taught it, the law of attraction, is really the law of radiance. And means that when we embody something, we start to radiate those qualities from the center of our being. And the law of attraction is a linguistic convenience that describes how things come into your orbit, into your life. It looks like you're attracting them, but in reality, you're radiating that energy. And then that energy becomes visible and comes into your orbit. On the three-dimensional scale, it looks like you're attracting it, but on the fourth and fifth dimensional scale, you're radiating it out, you see. And so the law of attraction is a linguistic convenience describing the law of radiance.
So,
Or the law of emergence. That's the other way I've described it over the last 30 years, is the law of emergence. Because we live in a field of infinite potential. Everything exists, but it has to emerge, much like an oak tree exists already within the acorn. But planted within the proper soil, the acorn emerges from the acorn. The acorn doesn't attract the oak tree. The oak tree emerges from the acorn.
Wow.
So in that same way, as we do our spiritual work, our visualization, our affirmation, our declaration, our decrees, our study, our meditation, our life visioning, what's within us emerges. And people will say, oh, you attracted that to yourself. And we would say, yes, but it's really a radiation and an emergence.
Oh my goodness. You taught that so well. That is just so profound. I've never heard it expressed that way, but it makes such perfect sense.
Thank you. Yeah, see, we have to meet people where they are. And so the law of attraction meets people where they are. You know, it allows them to grab something they can understand. Oh, if I lift my vibration, I will attract something. The birds of a feather flock together. I'll attract to me. And that's the beginning stage. But as we evolve, we realize we're really practicing radiation and emergence. You see, you don't jump to trigonometry. You start with basic arithmetic.
Absolutely.
And then you get to, addition and multiplication, and then you get to algebra, and so the world now is ready because the law of attraction is so well known in business. Board directors are using it in businesses and nonprofits. Now we can start really talking about the underpinning of it, which is radiation and emergence.
Wow, that is such a blessing hearing you say that, because even I have been a bit surprised. I've been, as you say, in the workplace, even corporations. I'm engaging with a corporation which is the 18th largest employer on the planet. And I couldn't get my head around why they were embarking and embracing this kind of awareness. But as you said, the world is really ready to receive this kind of information now, right?
Yes. We're in a new epoch, and we're being flooded with this new vitalizing energy. The earth is much more conscious, as you know from the African tradition. The earth is alive, and it's conscious, and it's vibrating higher. The prophecies of all of the ancient indigenous cultures are being revealed. And so these teachings are now pouring onto the planet, and they're pouring onto the planet at such a time in which we as human beings are facing extinction events. We're dealing with cataclysms in terms of environment, in terms of global warming, in terms of pollution, the quagmire that's happening in politics, the sense of division between people, calamity and contentiousness. These teachings are now becoming readily available for such a time as this, where the hidden darkness is being revealed so that this tremendous light can transmute it into a higher frequency. And so now you can walk into a board meeting and people are talking about the law of attraction, or change your attitude, or let's meditate, or let's practice the life visioning process. This is our time, Tony. This is our time.
Well, you did mention that back in 2014 when we were last together in Africa. When you say that, that brings me on to a question in terms of this being the time. So recently I had a conversation with, I don't know if you know the lady, Sophia Stewart from The Matrix, and she was talking about how Donald Trump symbolized this change, this time, as you just described, and that we were going to see a lot of these manifestations in 2017, i.e. so 2016 was that year of change, and 2017 represents action and the change manifesting. I wanted to ask you, what do you see, and what would you want to share with the audience in terms of what this time, what is this time?
Well, basically, what Donald Trump represents is what I call an evolutionary trigger for us to go to our next level. He represents, greed and selfishness, self-aggrandizement, the personification of the ego, winning at all cost. You're fired, and so he has come along as a trigger to push us all forward. If you look back on your life, you'll notice that there were times in your life that seemed very dark, very gloomy, or there was a crisis. And if you look what happened to you after that crisis, you'll notice that crisis got you focused and allow you to throw away parts of your priorities that you didn't need anymore. They didn't fit you anymore. And what you were left with was the priorities that were necessary for you to make the leap in consciousness. So Donald Trump comes along with his contentious nature, and people that were lethargic, apathetic, are now suddenly waking up and saying, what are we going to do? And people will ask me, what do you think this year is going to bring to us? What do you think these years are going to bring to us? And I say, no, those who have been initiated don't ask that question. We ask, what are we going to bring to the world? Not exactly. What's going to bring to us.
Exactly.
What are we going to bring?
Exactly.
And so different coalitions are now forming, asking that question. What are we going to bring? And many people are alive now with vision and possibility. Many people are watchdogging to see what he's going to do. They were asleep just 2 years ago. Many people are making proactive movements in the area of environment and immigration and medicine. And, they were sleepwalking 2 years ago because Barack Obama was in office. Now suddenly they're awake and say, oh my God, I need to bring something.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so he's an evolutionary trigger that I believe is going to galvanize us to go to another level of consciousness. He's an unwitting evolutionary trigger.
Wow. That is really amazing, because when I tie that with what you were saying earlier on about, rather than it being the law of attraction, it's really about us radiating. Well, this then suggests that we are all being given an opportunity to focus on what it is that we want to radiate.
Yes.
And as we were sharing back in 2014, at the 40th anniversary in Ghana, where we were celebrating conscious living and conscious evolution, then really what I'm hearing you say is what we were celebrating back in 2014 is actually happening right now. People are being called to consciously live and evolve.
Yes, we're in that space where, even though for some people it feels like we're going backwards, the universe doesn't go backwards. The cosmos doesn't go backwards. Everything cycles and progresses, but what it does is release hidden secrets and things that need to be cleared before you go to the next level. It's like psychologically you have a chemicalization and a purging before you go to the next level. So we're looking at purging, and we're looking at deep and profound insights that we can embody to go forward. So as the Chinese would say, be grateful to be born in interesting times. And this is a very interesting time to be born in. We always want to remind people that they chose to be born at this time. Your birth at this time is not accidental. You chose to be here.
But for those that are listening and they'll be saying, what does he mean you chose to be? Can you elaborate on that?
Well, absolutely. I mean, as a spiritual being, and these are things that I've seen in my initiations and in the different awakenings that I've begun to describe a little bit. We've never had a birth and we'll never die. We're eternal souls. And the incarnation that we have is not simply the byproduct of our parents getting together and having a wonderful moment, of love and sharing. No, the past, the present, and the future are happening simultaneously. And so we may have been the ones orchestrating our parents to get together to have the biological material in order for us to have a birth.
Oh my goodness. Really?
And so So it's not accidental that we're here. We chose to be here. We chose our parents. We chose the time in history. And so everyone chose to be here to bring a gift, a talent, to bring to activate their powers for such a time as this. You know, some people are wearing the mask of Darth Vader, you know, and some people are wearing the mask of the angelic presence, you know, but whatever mask we're wearing, we're all coming with something to uplift humanity, you see. Wow. And so sometimes people will make an excuse and say, oh, you know, I didn't ask to be born. I wish this wasn't happening to me. Well, that's a lie. They did ask to be born. They did chose to be here. And if they can come back to that moment through meditation and prayer, they'll embrace their destiny and begin to activate gifts that they are to share and shower the world with before they leave.
Wow, because what I'm hearing you say, then if I'm to take what you're saying to its full conclusion, is that we are not here living for ourselves.
No, absolutely. Again, that's the ego. From the egoic structure, it's me, my, I. But as we evolve, we begin to discover community, worldwide community of sentient beings, the planet, all life forms, the trees, the foliage. We begin to have more of an indigenous but expanded consciousness that we're all connected from the Mother Earth to the stars, the cosmos, to each other. And we don't live on a me plan anymore. We live on a we plan. Of course, we have to take responsibility for our own individual life and take care of ourselves. But it's about, what have I come to give? What have I come to share? Not what have I come to get, acquire. What have I come to give and share? Now, that particular frame of reference is where every business should be built upon. Every real model of success is really built upon what can I give and what can I share? How can I alleviate suffering? How can I dissolve some of the issues of our day? And so definitely, it's not about little old me. It's about the gift that was given to me and how can I share it?
Wow. Wow. Okay, can you hear me? Bear with me a moment. My lighting is just gone. I'm just going to sort my lighting out. I think we're good now. Okay. I don't know what to say. I mean, wasn't that just amazing? I wanted to cut it. I've listened to it so many times and I'm just like, it's just so much great information and knowledge and wisdom. And I'd like to just get some of your thoughts and have some dialogue before we go into the private Q&A. But like I said, remember, this interview took place just as Michael Beckwith was coming into Donald Trump was coming into office. And he didn't know about COVID. He didn't know about the turbulence. He didn't know. I mean, he said that Donald Trump was going to be like a spiritual trigger. And look at the way he described it. And isn't it interesting for those of you who listened to the interview that I had with Sophia Stewart last week? She was saying exactly the same thing. How did they know? Well, it demonstrates, as I've always said, if two or more people make reference to you and share information to you, and neither of them know that the other has shared the information, then just like in the movie The Matrix, that's the universe, the cosmos, trying to get your attention to say, listen, this is what's up. You need to take action or prepare for this. So I'm going to open it up for just a few questions, and then I'm going to share with you, because I told you I'm going to bless you twice. I'm just going to share with you just a little clip where he describes what he refers to as Business 3.0. For those of you who are wise and want to not only survive, but thrive in this new era of spirituality, then you want to get insights to know what's coming so that you can plan and prepare and position yourself to do very well. Because anyone who's in business knows that if you get wind of a trend before the masses and you're able to position yourself, well, then unless you do something dumb, you're going to clean up. So on that note, let me take any questions, any comments before I share the second part of this great insights that we're sharing with you from Michael Beckwith. Do we have a question from our audience? Okay, for real? No questions? Okay, well, if there are no questions, then I guess I may as well just move on to the second part of the recording. Would you? Okay, so Laura says powerful insights. Yep. Absolutely. Does anyone have any questions that they would like to bring? Well, because if you don't have any questions, then I'm not sure if I'm gonna play the second part. So there. Like, because I want some interaction, people. I'm just checking my screen just to make sure that we don't have a problem. So whilst you're figuring out what it is you might want to share, then okay. All right, well, I'm not sure if you're still there, so at least you have to let me know. If you can put a yes in the chat box if you would like me to play the definition between Business 1.0, Business 2.0, and Business 3.0. Okay, now you want to say something. Okay. Oh, okay. Millie wants to say something. So let's see if Millie, did you want to say something? Or was it just your hand raised?
No. Yes.
Hi, Millie. How you doing?
I'm fine. Yes, I wanted to find out when he speaks about like in the past, like with where the world was at when he started out, that there was a lot of ignorance about his particular perspective, and like the churches or religious groups or whatever, they didn't accept it. And over the 40 years, things have changed. Where are we now regarding the church and moving forward in this time of a new spirituality, new understanding, and so forth?
That's a great question. Well, and you can almost see it happening right before your eyes. What is actually happening now is almost like a Red Sea experience, a parting of people. There are those who are in the old world who are very much about religion and, you know, going to hell, hellfire, and curses and that kind of thing. And then there are those like you, Wilma, who, Millie, who have, I'm thinking about you and you, Millie, and Wilma and Laura, and there's a whole group of people. And I'm calling your names because energetically you're vibrating from a higher place of consciousness, where it's not about religion, it's about your spiritual evolution. And so it is not by accident that 10 years ago, I knew none of you, yet here we are coming together as a spiritual family. And so you're going to see more of that happening, Millie. And that is going to equate to a division of people, those people who are led by this higher awareness and consciousness, and those who have not been able to make that spiritual shift. And that was what I was talking about earlier on when I spoke about at the beginning, when I spoke about still I rise, that rising is not of your intellect, it's about your vibrational frequency and energy. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Yes. And I also like the way he explained about the reflection, yes, as opposed to the attraction, and that you're actually giving out something, because that is something that I experience, yes, with people and forming relationships and so forth.
Wow. And I know what you're about and what your essence is. And so this is the message, Millie, that we have to now bring to, well, it's not even that we have to bring it. What I've realized in, my almost 30 years is initially I really desperately wanted people to see what I could see, but it doesn't work like that,
No.
and it was so painful for me at times because I could see where people were going and I was trying to pull them back. But you can't want someone's salvation more than they want it. You can't want someone's growth more than they want it. So what we have to do is simply embody the truth that we know and express it from our core. And as he described, what will happen is there will be an expansion. And those who are vibrating on that frequency, it will resonate with them. And then we find ourselves in each other's orbit. And then it's just a case of us figuring out, okay, what are we in each other's life to do or be or express or collaborate on? And this, I mean, you've been part of the Soul family for many years. You can see it literally evolving, right? Yeah. Does that resonate?
Yeah. Yes, it does.
Good. I can sense that there's a few more thoughts that are going through your mind. So before we continue with the conversation, let me, as promised, because it's coming up, it's actually 9 o'clock, but we're going to go over for a couple of minutes. Let me share what we are referring to when we talk about Business 3.0. It's probably going to be just a couple of minutes. So I'm going to share and I'll see you on the other side.
Okay.
Success 3.0, the new way of doing business. Can you share? Because there's many people here who want to do business, the new way in this new season that we should be doing business.
I love that because I think this is so appropriate. It fits our whole spiritual paradigm. Success/business 1.0 is I get rich. It's basically a lack model, a winner-take-all model. It's a model that it's primarily about self-aggrandizement. What am I going to get out of the business? That's success 1.0. Success 2.0 is I develop a successful business and then I become a philanthropist. I start to share and support spiritual communities and things that appeal to my heart. That's 2.0. The 3.0 is the highest. 3.0 is I don't have a. 2.0 is I have a business with a mission. 3.0 is I have a mission with a business. In other words, I have a mission. There are things on the planet that I want to solve. I want to help heal. My business is a part of solving that, whether financially or otherwise. 3.0 is built into my business model is my give back. So that, for instance, I was in Arizona last year and the individuals that picked me up took me to their business and they sell high-end supplements and they create the packaging for this really great chocolate and they do all manner of, And for every sale of anything, they plant a tree somewhere in the world, and they give money back to certain spiritual communities. And I said to them, this is a really good business model. Where'd you get it? And they said, we got it from you, old school. I said, you got it from me? They said, yeah, we read your book, Spiritual Liberation. And we saw you writing about how Paul Newman got tired of just winning awards and making money, and he started to start a business, make it a nonprofit so that all of the proceeds go to charities around the world. And at the time he died, he had given over $100 million away.
Wow. Now,
Yeah.
isn't that incredible? You see, now, ladies and gentlemen, perhaps you understand, even in terms of my work over the last 30 years, that someone said to me the other day, Tony, you kind of been ahead of the game for a while. And in truth, I have been, because for the last 30 years, that is what I've been practicing, Business 3.0. And it's the reason why Errol Abramson and I had such a fantastic friendship, because I didn't use the term Business 3.0, but as we built our friendship, he could see that I was doing a different kind of business. See, he was doing business at 2.0. He had made his money. He'd made lots of money, a billionaire, and realized that there was still something else. And so when we came together, it was a great opportunity for some great learning to be had on both sides. I deeply, deeply valued his sharing of knowledge, but I also was able to expand and show him something different where faith was concerned. I never forget, we had an event, or he had an event that he was doing, I believe it was in 2018. He was coming to the UK, the first time he's ever come to do a personal development event in the UK. And it was a few weeks, I think 6 weeks to the event, and the sales were not looking really good. And I said to him, look, Errol, let me just help. And he was like, no, there's nothing that can be done. I've done it this once, and I'm never doing it again anyway. Through faith, I said, look, you've got nothing to lose. I'm going to do some marketing and see what I could do for you. And he was like, okay, Tony, sure. And I mentioned the story because it gave me such great joy. Some of you were there when he came over. We were able to bring an extra 20% of the audience to his event. At the end of the event, I was able to cut a check for a billionaire. I felt so good. But it was not just about the money. It was about me being able to demonstrate that when you operate at this Business 3.0, you are able to tune into next levels of things. And it really cemented our friendship and our relationship. Okay, so we've reached that point in time where we're going to have to say farewell to our Facebook family and our YouTube family. If you want to find out more, if you want to find out how you can access the entire recording, as well as exclusive recordings with myself and my business mentor, Conversations with a Billionaire, to know how the mind of a billionaire operates. If you would like to know more, then join our Facebook group. It's called Mind Reset for Success. Answer the questions. They're just a few, and we'll admit you into the group so you can find out a little bit more, and then either take up our membership and really get immersed in the soul family, or take up our Mind Reset program that will enable you to begin to change your mindset and prepare you for great things that are about to happen in this new era of spirituality. You see, if your mind hasn't gone through that mind reset, you'll still be operating in the old paradigm. And you don't know what you don't know. So you will just not know of the vast abundance and opportunities and awesomeness of what's out there. The world is changing fast, ladies and gentlemen. And there are those who are tuning in and plugging into this new world, and their lives are being catapulted to new levels. The amount of millionaires that have been created just through being associated with Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, for example, is just unbelievable. But at the same time, there's a tension because the old banking system is trying to hold on to the old way of doing things. You get to decide which world you want to live in. And unfortunately, if you sit on the fence and do nothing, you've actually made a choice. You stay exactly where you are. So we invite you to join us. I hope you've enjoyed yourselves. If you have, then tune in next week when it's really going to get on, when we invite in physical presence my spiritual mentor of 38 years, Brother Ishmael Tete, and we'll be talking about the new era of spirituality and his book, The Way Forward. And for those of you who have not tuned into this book is transformational. You can't get it here in the UK or Europe as a physical hard copy. You can get it on the Kindle. But if you want to know and read and use this book as a tool to transform your life and save yourself thousands of pounds by going and having a personal coach or mentor, then you'd be wise to tune in. If you want to know more, send us a message and we will hook you up. He's going to be here with us next week. Till then, it's me, Tony Dada, your soul purpose coach and your soul brother from another mother, saying, see you next week. Enough love.